Everything you've been told about the war on drugs is a convenient oversimplification. We are taught that the state and the cartel are binary opposites, predator and prey, law and chaos. This is a comforting lie. The reality is far more cynical. In the high-stakes theater of global power, the line between a government and a criminal syndicate isn't a wall. It's a membrane. Welcome to the gray zone. Disclaimer: the following analysis is based on declassified intelligence reports, court records, and geopolitical data. It does not reflect a conspiracy theory, but a systems analysis of state-sponsored informality. We are deconstructing the mechanics of power, not theorizing in the dark. Most people believe that crime is a failure of the state. In reality, for many regimes, crime is a feature of the state. It is a tool for deniable operations, untraceable revenue, and domestic control. You might think you are a free citizen living in a transparent economy, but your retirement fund, your national security, and the stability of your borders often rely on the very shadows your government claims to be fighting. Part 1: The Illusion of Binary Power. We have a psychological need to believe in the good guy, bad guy trope. It makes the world feel manageable. But if you look at the data, the distinction evaporates. Consider the narco-state label. We usually apply it to failing nations. But what happens when a superpower uses a cartel to achieve a foreign policy goal? History gives us the blueprint. During the 1980s Iran-Contra affair, the US government's involvement with entities linked to drug trafficking to fund the Contras in Nicaragua became a matter of public record. According to the 1989 Kerry Committee report, a subcommittee of the Senate Foreign Relations Committee, elements of the U.S. intelligence community were aware that Contra-linked groups were involved in drug smuggling, yet support continued because the geopolitical goal, stopping the spread of communism, was prioritized over the rule of law. Governments do not care about morality. They care about utility. If a criminal syndicate can do what a formal army cannot, assassinate a target without a paper trail, fund a proxy war without a budget vote, or stabilize a frontier through sheer terror, the state will not destroy them. It will middle manage them. Part 2: The Mechanics of the Gray Zone. Why would a state outsource its sovereignty to a cartel? The answer lies in systems analysis. Formal systems are rigid. They require budgets, oversight, and public accountability. Criminal systems are fluid. They operate on off-the-books liquidity. In modern strategic theory, this is called gray zone warfare. The gray zone is the space between peace and war. In this space, the goal is to achieve political objectives without triggering a formal military response. 1. Deniability. When a state wants to destabilize a neighbor, sending in paratroopers is an act of war. But if a local cartel suddenly gains high-grade weaponry and begins a turf war that happens to decapitate the rival government's leadership, that is a domestic tragedy. 2. The black budget. War is expensive. According to the Tax Justice Network, an estimated $480 billion is lost annually to global tax abuse, much of it flowing through the same shadow banking channels used by organized crime. For a state under international sanctions, these shadow channels are a lifeline. They provide a backdoor to the global financial system. Think about your own life. Have you ever cut a corner to get a result because the official process was too slow? Maybe you paid a fixer to handle a permit, or you ignored a minor rule to meet a deadline. Now, scale that human impulse to the level of a nation-state. The narco-proxy is simply the ultimate fixer. Part 3: Data of the Shadow Economy. The numbers are staggering. According to Global Financial Integrity (GFI), the value of the global illicit drug trade is estimated between $426 billion and $652 billion annually. But here is the counterintuitive part: this money doesn't stay in the shadows. It integrates. In 2009, Antonio Maria Costa, the then head of the UN Office on Drugs and Crime (UNODC), famously stated that interbank loans were funded by money that originated from the drug trade and other illegal activities during the 2008 financial crisis. He argued that liquid drug money was the only liquid investment capital available to some banks on the verge of collapse. This creates a terrifying dependency. If the state actually won the war on drugs and erased that $600 billion overnight, the global banking system would face a liquidity crisis. The state doesn't want to kill the golden goose, it wants to put it in a cage it controls. Part 4, the human quirk, the desire for order. Why do populations tolerate narco-states? It's because of a quirk in human psychology: we prefer predictable cruelty over unpredictable chaos. In many regions, the cartel provides what the state cannot. They build clinics, they pave roads, and they provide a justice system, however brutal. We all want security. If your government is corrupt and ignores you, but the local strongman ensures your shop isn't robbed, as long as you pay him, you will choose the strongman. This creates a state within a state. The government realizes that fighting the cartel would mean having to actually provide the services the cartel is currently subsidizing. It is cheaper to let the cartel rule the low-value population while the state skims the high-value resources. Part 5, Case Study, the Sovereign Syndicate. Let's look at the Khyber Pass or the Golden Triangle. These aren't just crime scenes, they're geopolitical buffer zones. In North Korea, the government has been accused by numerous international agencies, including the U.S. Department of State in its International Narcotics Control Strategy reports, of engaging in state-sponsored criminal activity. This includes the production of high-quality counterfeit U.S. currency, supernotes, and the manufacturing of methamphetamines. For the Kim regime, crime isn't a social ill, it's a ministry. It's how they bypass sanctions to fund their nuclear program. Here, the state doesn't just use a proxy, the state is the proxy. Part 6, Addressing the Objection. You might ask, if this is true, why are there so many arrests and high-profile drug busts? The answer is maintenance. In any system, you have to prune the hedges. High-profile busts serve two purposes. 1. Public relations: it maintains the theater of law for the tax-paying public. 2. Market consolidation: by removing uncooperative or too violent cartels, the state paves the way for more professional syndicates that understand the rules of the gray zone. Think of it as a corporate merger enforced by the police. The state isn't ending the trade, it's regulating the monopoly. Part 7, The Final Insight, the Invisible Tether. As we move further into the 21st century, the narco-proxy is evolving. We are seeing the rise of cyber cartels. State-sponsored hacking groups now operate exactly like the drug syndicates of the 80s. They steal data, extort corporations, and provide deniable offensive capabilities to their host nations. According to Chainalysis, billions in cryptocurrency are laundered through high-risk exchanges every year, much of it linked to state-affiliated actors. The system is the same, only the commodity has changed. We live in an era where sovereignty is a polite fiction. Power is a fluid exchange between those who write the laws and those who are paid to break them. Conclusion: the choice. When you see a headline about a massive drug bust or a failed state, look past the carnage. Ask yourself, who benefits from the vacuum? The narco-state proxy is not a sign of a world falling apart. It is a sign of a world being managed with cold, calculated efficiency. The line hasn't disappeared, it's just being moved to wherever the powerful need it to be today. If you want to understand the systems that actually run our world, you have to be willing to look into the gray zone. This channel is dedicated to that search. If you value deep dive, evidence-based analysis that challenges the standard narrative, subscribe and turn on notifications.